starting the day off pretty beaten down and tired. We spent all day yesterday burning out some longer motos on a pretty rough track. I didn't film it because I just wanted to get my motos in and not really focus on anything else. But today we're going to take things a little bit slower and really work on some of my biggest flaws as a motocross racer. Whenever I'm really tired and beat down from motos like this, I like to focus on my technique and everything, make sure everything is really top notch so that when the nationals come around, it's kind of ingrained in my brain just to ride the correct way, not be lazy. So I tend to battle with arm pump pretty bad. Being a taller guy is hard because I just have to hold on to the bars a lot harder to keep my body from sliding back on the bike and everything. But I've kind of noticed from racing with the pros over the past couple of years that there's a couple things just in my riding technique that I could improve on to kind of reduce that. So one thing that I noticed from riding with all the top guys like Tomac and all them is that their corner entry speed is not where they make up all their time. When those guys pass me, I find myself almost running into the back of them coming into corners, through the middle of the corner and coming out of the corner where they carry so much more speed. I think as a kid, when I was trying to get faster, I kind of forced it into my brain that corner entry was where I was going to make up all my speed, because when you come into a corner super fast, you feel just wild and you are absolutely hauling. And so I tend to come into corners a little too hot and try and push the limits, and it feels really, really fast. But what I've noticed is that my mid-corner speed really suffers because I'm not focusing on the rest of the corner and carrying my speed through. I'm just focusing on coming into it with as much speed as I can. And that forces my mid-corner speed to be really slow, and then I have to use the clutch to kind of help me carry my speed out of the corner. Just riding with the top guys, especially at the GP last year when all the Europeans came over, and then watching them at Destinations this year, I just really noticed that they just carry their speed through the middle and the ending of the corners really well, and they hardly ever touch the clutch. So that's what I'm going to work on today. I'm going to just hold myself back a little bit coming into the corners, just try and really carry my speed through and not use that clutch whenever I don't need to. Because arm pump always happens when I'm hard accelerating out of corners and I have to hold on tight, so I'm hoping that just by carrying that extra speed through the corner, I won't have to accelerate as hard coming out of the corner, and maybe it'll keep that arm pump at bay for a little longer. So that's what I'm going to work on today. I might work on a couple other techniques, maybe a little bit of bike setup and stuff. So I'm just going to take you guys along for the ride, basically show you what a day of testing and technique training looks like. So I also really quick wanted to say thank you for all the feedback on the last video about the merchandise. Seems like a lot of you guys were pretty interested and said you would be down to support the program by purchasing a hat or a hoodie or a shirt or whatever. So I think I'm going to get in contact with some people and try and make that happen really soon here. So I really appreciate all the support you guys have been showing me. Just the amount of people reaching out to me and just wishing me luck and asking questions and stuff has been super cool. Really wasn't expecting the channel to blow up like this at all, so just huge thank you to you guys. Obviously this channel would be nothing without you, so really hope we just continue to grow, and hope you guys continue to stay entertained and keep coming back to watching the videos. So just real quick wanted to say thanks. Alright guys, we just got to the track. It's pretty cool what they do out here. They ride all weekend, and then on Monday they do an ungroomed practice where they just groom all the faces, but they don't touch the straightaways or corners. So I don't know if you guys can see from the camera, but it's actually pretty rough out here, so it'll be a perfect day to test out some arm pump techniques for sure. Also forgot to mention, our co-pilot is not here today. Bridget had some school stuff she needed to work on, so it's just you guys and me. Unfortunately, that means no third-person footage, but you know, we're gonna get this beast unloaded, hit the track. All right, getting ready to head out for the first session. Pretty much have the place to ourselves. Pretty sick. Let's go do a nice warm-up, try and focus on laying off the clutch, just getting the blood flow and everything. Alright guys, just finished up that first session. Track's actually super gnarly. It's really rough, but it's a really good type of rough, not like sketchy. You can kind of stand up and it's kind of like flow and jump through the corners and stuff. So yeah, I was really focusing on not using the clutch so much that moto, just kind of trying to come into the corners a little bit slower. It's kind of hard to convince yourself to do that when you're so used to coming in at one speed, but I was really forcing myself to kind of come in a little slower, just carry the speed throughout the middle and not have to accelerate so hard coming out of the corner. And dude, it made a big difference. I was actually pretty happy. Like just a couple laps in, I got really used to not using the clutch, and like I wasn't even really putting my finger on the lever just to just as like insurance. I was just completely trusting myself to leave my hands on the bars and just not even touch it at all. So pretty stoked at that. I'm just gonna continue doing that throughout the day, and during these longer motos I'm gonna see if it kind of helps out with arm pump or not. So gonna stiffen up the suspension a little bit. It's pretty rough out there, and then go back out for Moto 2. I'm also trying out using 60 frames per second rather than 30 today, just to see if it makes a difference, kind of gets rid of some of that graininess that I always get in my helmet cams. I don't know what it is, but especially like at this track, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the color of the dirt or whatever, but it always seems to get really grainy here. So we'll see if that makes any difference. I don't know, you guys will have to let me know. Check out my last video at this track and just compare the two, see if it makes any difference. But I'm about ready to head back out, so I'm gonna get geared up and hit the track. All right guys, so we're about to head out for round 2. When I was out there for the first session, if I overshot some of these little tables, there's kind of like a roller right after them, and when I landed in that big cup, I was bottoming out the rear end pretty bad, so I stiffened up the rear, low speed compression, 3 clicks, and we're gonna go and see if that makes a difference. Alright guys, well I am really digging this riding style. I think it really suits my type of riding style, like not just banging off the rev limiter and like holding it wide open everywhere. I kind of have more of a smooth style, like to just carry my momentum and just be really smooth and flowy. So I think moving forward this is really going to help me out in my riding. I definitely notice I'm not getting as much arm pump, which is so sick, because especially when the track is rough like this, I really battle with arm pump pretty bad. I've figured out a couple tricks to kind of help reduce it, but this is going to be a big one. I think I don't have to accelerate so hard coming out of the corners because I'm just flowing through them so much better. One thing I'm going to have to change is the gearing on the bike. I think it's just geared a little bit too tall from the factory. I think it's like a 49 in the rear. Normally I go up to like a 50 or 51, and I feel like maybe that's part of the reason why I would have to clutch it so hard in those deeper corners, just to kind of keep it out of the bogging area. It seemed like when I was out there for that session, it would kind of bog down in some of those deeper corners. Not a huge deal. I would just kind of have to tap the clutch a little bit just to get it back up in the RPMs, but I think if I change the gearing around, I would hardly have to touch the clutch at all, which would be super sick. When I'm watching the GoPros of like, especially James Stewart and Ken Roxon, they seem to be really good at like carrying their speed, and they hardly ever get on the gas, you know, and they're never banging off the rev limiter. They're just really deep, lugging their bike through the corners, and they never get on the gas before midway through the corner. They just carry enough speed and enough momentum that it carries them to the middle of the corner, and then they get on the gas and just shred. So I'm really trying to implement that into my riding. If I have to get on the gas before the apex or like the middle of the corner, I know I just didn't carry enough speed and didn't carry enough momentum through it. So definitely go watch helmet cams of those guys and you'll know what I'm talking about. And I really feel like I'm mimicking it pretty well out here. So I think we're making some good improvements. I'm really excited about it, and definitely just gonna keep implementing this into my riding over the next couple months, and hopefully by the time the nationals come around, it'll just be ingrained in my brain and I won't really have to think about it anymore. So that's the goal. Gonna head back out for a couple more sessions and just really work on it some more. Alrighty guys, that is gonna do it for the day, for motos at least. Got in some really solid riding. Really happy with the progress I made on the just overall technique, not using the clutch so much at all. I think that's really gonna help. Really like that I stiffened up the rear shock. It definitely helped a lot for this rough stuff. It's super easy to like go out to a bunch of smooth tracks and feel like a champ and feel like your bike is handling perfect, but when you get out to an actual rough track like this, you really start to figure out what's wrong with your setup. So really pumped that 74 has this no groom Monday. I'll definitely be here every Monday ripping this rough stuff, so super stoked on that. So that being said, it's time to load up and head out. Couple pro tips for you guys. If you're like me and you sweat really bad and hate putting on like wet helmet pads or goggles, I picked up these little magnetic hooks, basically. Hang my goggles from those when I'm done riding, and then if you're cool and have a Bell helmet, you got these magnetic cheek pads, just stick right to the wall. How freaking sick is that? So get yourself a Bell Moto 9. But for those of you who aren't cool and have a Bell helmet, I also picked up these little magnetic clips. So I just basically clip it onto the tag and then hang that. So pro tips, never put wet helmet pads on ever again. All right guys, well, I'm gonna call that a super successful day. Definitely made some progress on the technique. Obviously it's a little bit easier to not use the clutch when it's sandy out and you can kind of just toss it into berms and trust that they're gonna hold you. But I'll be interested to try out that technique on some tracks that are a little more firm, maybe get some deep ruts and stuff like that. So hopefully this upcoming weekend, I'll make a trip up to like northern Florida. The tracks up there are a little bit firmer dirt. The closer you get to Georgia, get some of that red clay mixed in. So maybe I'll find a track with some good ruts and just keep working on that technique. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Try out that technique, let me know what you think of it. Definitely fun sharing my experiences with you guys, and maybe if it helps you out a little bit, then that's awesome. So thanks for tuning in to another video, guys. Be sure to like and comment and subscribe. You guys have been seriously killing it. I can't tell you enough how appreciative I am of that. You definitely motivate me to keep the videos coming out, so definitely stay commenting and liking, and follow me on Instagram if you want to keep up with more content that I don't put on the YouTube channel, and hope you guys have been enjoying it. I know I have. So, and as always, let me know what you guys want to see. My last video, I kind of played around with making a little bit of a longer vlog and doing more than just moto. Kind of got like the stretching and everything. Seemed like some of you guys were into that, and some of you guys didn't like that at all. So if you want me to make the longer videos and include more of my day, I can definitely do that every now and then. Or if you just want to get straight to moto and workouts, then that's cool too. So Definitely let me know what you guys are interested to see. If you have any ideas for videos, as always, just shoot me a DM or just drop a comment. Anyways, peace out guys, and we'll see you next video.